Hello everyone, welcome back to your show Ask Kaveti. I'm your host Manal, and today once again we're joined by Mr. Srinivas Rao Kaveti, our expertise in this show. And today's topic is asylum. So first of all, I would like to introduce Mr. Kaveti to you guys. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, welcome back to Mana TV International with Kaveti episode. Today's topic we are talking on asylum. Who gets asylum? What are the qualifications to get an asylum? What is a political asylum? On what grounds you can apply asylum? Because as we are seeing the outbreak of war in the world, and everybody's thinking that there might be a third world war, the way the Russians are invading Ukraine, and so as if you see Afghanistan in the past, who gets asylum and what are the qualifications, and when can they apply, what is the time frame in US and other parts of the world. And the good news is the US has already come up with a law, humanitarian law. If you are Ukrainian or Russians or any of these countries, even Afghanistan and some other countries, they have come up with a law saying that you can apply for a temporary protected status, and students can apply work authorizations. So there's a whole heap of good news for international students and for Ukrainian citizens who are visiting and who are living in other parts of the world, those who left Ukraine because of the war. So we're going to come up with a lot of questions and answers. Please be tuned, and you have questions and we give you answers so that we make life easy for you guys.
So, Mr. Kaveti, let's start this show by my first question, which is, what is the asylum application in the United States?
The asylum application, when you come to United States, typically you should file an application within 180 days. And if you don't file within 180 days, then it's a red herring. That means the statute says that if you have a fear of persecution when you go back, that means it could be a religious freedom, because let's say, if I give an example, in Bangladesh or in Pakistan, the Hindus are very minor, and they're being attacked. And those countries, their official religion is Islam. So, their temples have been destroyed in Bangladesh, Pakistan, and even Myanmar, Buddhists and other parts of the world. If you have religious problems because you belong to certain religion, then under religious threat, you can apply for political asylum. And two, religious ground. If you are having a fear of persecution when you go back, many times you are in certain civil groups or certain movements, civil right movements. When you go back to your country, you could have a fear of persecution. If you see China, China doesn't have a religion, and if Buddhists are trying to propagate Buddhism, or Christians are trying to propagate Christianity, or Hindus are trying to propagate Hinduism in China, you could be persecuted. They could send you to jail and you will not be known even where you are. And things like that, when you come to countries like America or the Western countries, so as England, Australia, or China, or New Zealand, or any of these European countries, under the human laws, when you go back, when you can prove bona fidely, legitimately, that you belong to certain political party and stuff like that, you can apply for an asylum. So looking at your background, looking at your evidences, America do give asylum to you, and you can also bring your family under the asylee status, and eventually that will be converted to a green card, and you could apply for a citizenship as well.
And can Indians apply for political asylum?
Brilliant question. Indians can apply. There is nothing like that you cannot apply, but you should belong to a certain political group or certain religious group or certain social group. In the past, if you see India, in Kashmir, there used to be Kashmir Pandits, and Muslims were, certain terrorist organizations were killing Hindu Pandits. So when they came to United States, Kashmiri Pandits, they got political asylum. But now because of the Kashmir is a part of India now, because of the new legislation and Parliament's amendments, so you don't have that problem now. But there are certain groups in India, social groups, those who are targeted by the government, And if you belong to certain groups, yes, you can apply. In the past, if you belong to some groups like lesbian movement or gay movement, if you are from LGBT, you could have applied in America in the past, because unnatural, it was like an unnatural offense. It was an offense under the IPC. But now that they have abolished in India too, same-sex marriages are allowed, you could apply, you can't apply now. But if you look at some of the Muslim countries, they are not allowed. So you can apply if you're coming from Pakistan or Bangladesh or certain Islamic countries. If you're a gay or a lesbian, if you come from that LGBT group, you can apply for political asylum in America.
So my next question is how to file the asylum petition and who is qualified to file for one. Suppose like someone who is entering the United States on visitor's visa, can they apply?
The beauty is, yes, anybody who comes into United States can apply for political asylum. Even if you cross the borders, even if you come documented alien or undocumented alien, even somebody crosses the river or borders in America, you can make a political asylum application. Even if you're a visitor, you can apply. Sometimes, people come to United States on a different categories of law, and if they have some fear of persecution back home, yes, you can apply. There is no problem. There is no restriction that you cannot apply if you're coming in a particular class of visa.
And when they do come into the US, what is the time frame for filing for asylum?
Usually 180 days is a time frame. Within 180 days you have to file your asylum application. Sometimes because of your country conditions, you might not be able to get the information. You could also apply after 180 days, but there is a delay. You have to file with the USCIS or with the immigration officials that why there was an inordinate delay. If you can explain to the government the reasons, they have to be bona fide reasons, then you can apply too. But they will condone the delay if you come up with the bona fide reasons and if it is beyond your control. So case to case is different. Yes, you can apply after 180 days too.
And what are the other possibilities other than political asylum for those who have come to the US?
Political asylum is one way of getting green cards in this country. The beauty is in America, there are different types of visas. People are coming on visit visas, people are coming with religious visas, information I visas, P3 visas, artist visas, sports visas. There are different types of visas. They come to America. And if you're qualified, let's say if you're an extraordinary ability, if you're a scientist, or if you have some extraordinary ability of being a sportsman, or if you have some extraordinary awards, international awards, you could all make an application to the USCIS to live in this country permanently for an immigrant visa. And many times people also come and get married, they can also apply for a green card. And people come for an education, they get a work permit through H-1B, and then eventually they can also apply for a green card. There are some people who are entrepreneurs who come to America, they open up a company and they provide employment, and they can also get an L1, and within a couple of years you can also apply for a green card and eventually become citizen. So the beauty is there are so many legal routes to become permanent in America, and similarly you can also become permanent resident in UK and Australia and New Zealand. The reason is all these countries, the Western world, they have a certain pattern. Even the Canada, when US passes a law, when England passes a law, all these countries, they basically adopt the same system. Like if you see in the past, we didn't have, in America, we didn't have point system immigration like Canada or Australia or England. When President Trump was there, he was emphasizing that why not we should adopt the Australian system of giving green cards for qualified people. This is called point-based immigration. What is that? When somebody has high qualification, science and technology and medicine, and if they have good skill, and if they are good in English, and if they can bring some revenue to the country, if they can contribute to this country's economy, President Trump suggested that similar to Australia and Canada and England and even New Zealand. Then there's some European countries also you can immigrate. They are coming up with that system. The US is also coming up with that system. It's called point-based system. You could get a permanent residency. It's also called green card in America, and eventually become citizen.
And if someone applied for asylum and the procedure has started, but they don't want to continue with the application, what are their rights?
Once you file a political asylum application, there is a second step is called credible fear interview. What does it mean? The immigration will take up your application. They want to see whether you made a bona fide application or not. It's called credible fear interview. What does it mean? They want to see whether you have real credibility. They want to see whether you really have a fear when you go back to your country. And once they do a credible fear interview, once the immigration determines that you have a real case, then the application goes further. And then they will give you a work authorization, and you can, once your asylum application gets approved, you can bring your family. For some reason, sometimes people want to withdraw that application. If you want to intend to withdraw that application, what happens immediately once you withdraw that application, if you don't have any immigration petition pending, then you become illegal. They could remove you from the United States. And sometimes people get married to US citizens while they make an application, political asylum applications, and they intend to pursue the route through the American citizen by marrying an American citizen, and they have some American born children. So once you file a petition through your spouse for a green card, you can withdraw your immigration political asylum application. That will not hinder your marriage petition. So you can stay in the country legally.
What are the pros and cons of political asylum, would you say?
The problem with the political asylum is once you file an application, once it is approved, and once you become a citizen as well, you will not be able to go back to your countries, because the US government, and a matter of fact even the foreign governments like UK or Australia or England, what they do, they report to your home country saying that you have a fear of going back to your home country. That's one of the reasons your home country might not allow you to come back to your country, because you said internationally that you have a fear in going back to your country. That is one impediment you have. But if when the circumstances and situation changes in the country, let's say when you made an application, you had a certain particular type of government, and that government is not there. The government has changed, the policies have changed. When there is a change in circumstances of your home country, then you can go back to your home country. So that's one impediment you have once you make a political asylum application. Other than that, I don't see any problems.
So lastly, if someone does have political asylum, who can they sponsor right away?
The beauty with the political asylum, once your application gets approved, you can get asylee status for your immediate family members. What is the definition of immediate family members? Your spouse and children. This doesn't apply to your mother, father. It only applies to your spouse, means your wife, and to your children. That means you should be legally married to your wife in your home country before you came into the United States. So you can apply for your spouse, for your wife, and your children. And if your marriage is not recognized, then you cannot apply. Then it has to be a legitimate recognized marriage, both by America and by India, or by any other foreign country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaveti, for your intel this week. I hope our viewers learned something new and something important. For those who are seeking political asylum or who do have that status, I hope this episode helped you a lot. And lastly, I would like to ask Mr. Kaveti again if he has something else to share with us.
Thank you, Meenal, for wonderful questions. Thank you very much for the Mana TV International team, and thanks viewers for tuning in to this Ask Kaveti episodes. We're going to come up with more TV shows and TV episodes like this. These are all only for education purposes. We're not trying to solicit any business. If you have any questions, please retain or contact competent lawyers in your jurisdictions. That means in your particular cities and states, so that you will be represented competently. And we're not trying to get any clients out of this. If you have any questions, please be tuned and you can send us questions. We will answer, and see you again.
So guys, I hope you learned something today with our beloved guest, Mr. Kaveti. Our show is on YouTube, on Mana TV, and I hope you subscribe so you can rewatch our episodes if you have missed something. We are here every week, and I hope you are keeping up with us because we love coming to you with new topics and new information. And of course, Mr. Kaveti loves talking to you guys and telling you something important that you might know someone or you can relate to yourself. So if you would like to watch previous episodes, please subscribe to our channel Mana TV on YouTube and Facebook. See you next week.